In today's class, I'll review distance formula and use it to classify the triangles and quadrilaterals. Well, the distance formula is already you are aware that x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square under the square root. So let me give a quick example of this. Let's say that you are given here is the given question. This is the first point, 2, -1, so -9. So take it as x1, y1. This is the first point, and this is the second point. So here you have to plug in the x1, y1, x2, y2 values. So let me write that the value of x2, I see that it is -1. -1. You have to be really careful with these signs. Subtract x1. I see that it is 2 whole square plus y2. I see that y2 is 4. Subtract y1 is -9. As I mentioned before, you have to be careful with these signs. So it is -9 whole square under the square root. I know these calculations can be done easily, but if there is a double negative, you have to be really careful. So -1, -2, I see that these two values are having the same sign, so I have to add them. I get -3 square plus 4 negative of negative. Negative of negative, you know that it is positive. Therefore, 4 plus 9, that is 13. If you want, you can write an additional step. So it is 4 plus 9 square. So -3 square means which is -3 times -3. So 3 times 3 is 9. Negative of negative, that gives me +9. It's not -9. Well, so here I get that +9 plus 4 plus 9, that gives me 13 square. So 13 square is 13 times 13, that gives me 169. Therefore 9 plus 169, 178. Yay, we got the answer. So the option D is the right one. So let's have one more question, one more example. Well, at times the points may not be mentioned and the diagram is given. So let's say that this is point, you can name it to whatever the letters you want, say P and Q. Okay, so the coordinates of P are on x-axis. I see that this one, which is -5. So the value of x is -5. Oops. And the value of y is, I see that this is 5. So -5, 5. And q value, the value of x is, I see that it is 1. The value of y is, it's -2. Okay. So you can label them. This is always a better idea to name them as x1, y1, x2, y2. By writing this way, you can avoid a lot of mistakes. Now, let me write the distance formula first. Distance between 2 points, that is x2 subtract x1 whole square plus y2 subtract y1 whole square. Everything is under the radical sign, or square root of this. Now I know that the value of x2 is 1. Therefore, 1 subtract, and the value of x1 is negative 5. So you have to be little careful, especially if there are negative signs. So I'm taking x1 value here. So 1 minus negative 5 square plus what is y2? You see that the value of y2 is negative 2. As I mentioned before, you have to be really careful if there is a negative sign. Okay, oops, let me delete this. My bad. Okay, so negative 2 subtract what is y1 means. You see that it is just 5 square. Again, the integers, computing with integers is slightly tricky. Remember one thing, first of all, two signs occur side by side means you multiply the signs, negative of negative, that gives me positive. So 1 plus 5 square plus I see that these two values are having the same sign, same sign. Please remember that if two integers are having the same signs, therefore you add them. Okay, so same signs means very simple point to remember, add the values and keep the same sign to the answer. So negative 2 and negative 5, that gives me, please remember, if I add I'll get 7, and it's going to be negative 7 whole square. So the next step is 1 plus 5, it's simple, 6 square, and negative 7 square, it is not negative 49, because negative 7 whole square means negative 7 times negative 7. So 7 times 7 is 49, then negative of negative, that gives me positive. So please don't make this mistake, like negative 7 whole square is not negative 749. Sorry, it's not negative 49, it's a positive 49. Okay, so let me write that positive 49, and 6 square, that gives me 36. Again, it is not 6 times 2, it is 6 times 6 plus 49. So let me sum up these two. 36, 30 and 40, that makes 70. 6 plus 9, 15. So it's going to be square root of 85. You may get a doubt. Do I have to leave this one, or do I have to convert into decimals, or maybe further? It's a good question. Then I'll explain maybe in the next one. In next example. The next question is, find the distance between negative 10, negative 7, negative 8, comma 1. As I mentioned before, you label the points. This is x1, y1, x2, y2. Now, always, it's a very good practice to write the formula every time. Now just plug in these values. I'm sure that x2 value goes here, and next x1 value, it goes here, and so on. Okay, so let me take these two values. First of all, x2 is negative 8, subtract x1 is negative 10. So just plug in these values and you don't bother about the signs. So step 1, just plug in these values. Be careful, at times there may be double negative sign, like they occur side by side. Okay, so the next part is plus y2. y2 value, that goes here, and y1 value, that goes here. Okay, so y2 is 1, subtract y1 is negative 7. As I mentioned before, if you have to write a double negative sign, don't hesitate, just write them side by side. Then we'll see what to do in the next step. Now you have to simplify them. Don't avoid any steps. I personally prefer you to write everything in detail. So -8, negative of negative, it is positive, plus 1 negative of negative, that is positive 7. So some calculations are there, they're pretty easy. Like take 1 plus 7, it's simple, it's 8 square. And -8 plus 10 means, you see that do they have same signs or different signs? I see that these two values are having different signs, you know, different signs. Please remember, in my previous question I mentioned that if two values are having same signs, then you go for addition and put the same sign to the resultant number. That's what you have done it. So same signs, you see that here, -2 and -5. I see that both are having negative sign. So 5 and 2 are added, and the same sign, which is negative sign, is posted to the result. Now here, different signs. So when you see different signs, what you have to do is you have to subtract. I repeat, different. The word itself is suggesting me to take that difference. Difference means you have to go for subtraction. So while subtracting, please ignore the signs like a negative sign and positive sign, whatever it may be. Just ignore the signs. So you know how to subtract. Usually we take away the smallest number from the largest number. So if I take away 10, take away 8, then I'll be left with 2. And the number which the highest value, the absolute value, that means just you don't bother about the signs, you don't bother about the signs. Now you see that 10 and 8, 10 is the largest of these two. Therefore, that sign is to be posted to the result. So again, I'm repeating, same signs, add them, different signs, you subtract, as simple as that. Now 2 square, it is 4. 8 square, it is not 8 times 2, it is 8 times 8. That gives me 64, right? Then 4 plus 64, again it is 68, square root of 68. Again, do we have to convert this one into decimals? Means there are two options. One is you can express as a decimal. Let me grab my calculator. But most of the time, you will not be given the answer as a decimal. So just a moment. Let me compute. It is square root of 68, which is 8.246. But as I mentioned before, most of the time, you will not be asked to express as a decimal. Then what to do means, we take 68 and we go by factoring method, that is prime factors. I know that this number is divisible by 2. 2 is a prime number. 2 threes, 2 fours. Then 34 is divisible by 2. Then 2 times 7, 17. Therefore, 68, square root of 68, 2 times 17. Here I see that a pair, or else I can say that square root of 4. What is square root 4 means? You know that it is 2, right? And square root of 17 cannot be computed, therefore it is 2 root 17. That's the value of 68. Therefore, you can express this one as 2 root 17 or 8.24 because when the options are having these kind of answers, then you should compute by taking the prime factors. Okay, now let me take a question on how to classify the given triangles and quadrilaterals. In the next page, the question is classify the given triangle as equilateral triangle, scalene triangle, or isosceles triangle. So let me move this a little down. Okay. Then how to classify means you first you find the distance of AB, distance of BC, and distance of AC. So once when you find the distance of these, distance means nothing but the length of the line segment. You know, distance between 2 points or length of line segment, it's one and same. Once when you find it, then uh, well, we'll talk about that after finding the distance of these three. So let me take first distance of AB, distance of BC, and distance of AC. Okay, so let me use the distance formula. As I mentioned before, please make use of this formula every time. So due to lack of space, just I'm writing a little short. Let me make it as d equals to this one. So this is the formula. Let me zoom out a little so that I can accommodate all the three. Okay. Oops. I'm sorry. Yeah. So I'm writing the distance formula every time. As I mentioned before, it's a very, very, very good practice to write the formula every time. Okay. Now, what to take as if I'm taking, let's say, AB, shall I take A as x1, y1 and B as x2, y2 means it doesn't matter. You take B as x1, y1 and A as x2, y2. It makes no difference. Well, let me take x2. Here it is 7 subtract x1 is 5. So 7 minus 5 square plus y2, I see that 6, y1 is 1. Therefore, it is 6 minus 1 square. Thank God, no negative sign, so it's easy to compute here. So 7 minus 5, that gives me 2 square plus 6 minus 1, that is 5 square. So 2 square is 4. 5 square is 25 and 4 and 25, that makes 29. Square root of 29. I'm not converting into decimals. Now let me draw a line so that they will not overlap. Okay. So let me move this. Oops. Well. Let me move this one a little to left side so that I can. Okay. Right. Now I'm taking the formula once again, which is distance equals to x2 subtract x1 whole square plus y2 subtract y1 whole square. Then now plug in these values. This time I'm computing BC length. So what to take as x1, what to take as x2, y2 means, as I mentioned before, as you like, you can take it. Already I see that here x2, y2 are taken. So you may consider this one as x1 and y1. So what is a x2? Subtract x1. I see that 7 minus 1, 7 minus 1 whole square, plus what is y2? It is 6, subtract 3, which is 6, subtract 3 whole square under the square root. So 7 minus 1, that gives me 6 square, 6 minus 3, 3 square. So 6 square is 36, 3 square is 9. So 36 plus 9, that gives me 45. Square root of 45. Again, this time I am finding the length of AC. Distance equals to x2 subtract x1 whole square plus y2 subtract y1 whole square under the square root. Already I labeled them as x1 y1. This is also x1 y1. So what I am doing is you can take any one of them as x2 y2. Either this or you can make it a as x2 y2. Well, now x2 subtract x1, which is 1 minus 5, 1 minus 5 whole square, plus y2, 3 subtract 1, 3 subtract 1. You may get a doubt. Earlier I have taken this as x1, y1 and I changed. Will it affect the problem? Means the answer is no. The answer is no. If you want, you can make it as x3, y3 also, but it leads to confusion. So I don't want to you to end up with any confusion. That's the reason I'm taking still x2, y2. Well, 1 minus 5, 1 minus 5. If there is no sign, you can consider that a positive 1 and negative 5. I see that these two are having different signs. Different signs. Therefore, I subtract. So take away 1 from 5, you'll get 4. And the largest number, if you ignore these signs, then you see that 5 is the largest number. Technically, negative 5 is the smallest, but if you take the absolute values, 5 is the largest, we take that sign to the result. Next, positive 3, take away 1, you will get 2 square. So negative 4 square, which means negative 4 times negative 4, that is positive 16. 2 square, 2 times 2, that is 4. 16 plus 4, that is square root of 20. In fact, you need not convert them into any decimals. Now, if I compare all these three values, I see that square root of 29, square root of 45, and square root of 20, I see that all these values are different. None of them are equal, right? So these are different values means I would say that you also know that here this is 29 and BC square root of 45 and this one is square root of 20. So if all the three sides are different, you know that this is going to be a scalene triangle. Okay, so let's take another question. So in this question, I see that, okay, let me join these points. Well, there is a triangle. From the diagram itself, I can sense it that it is a right angle triangle. You may get another doubt that in this question, the diagram is given. Then, if diagram is not given and only points are given, then how can you say that it is a right triangle? If you have that kind of question, I'll clarify at the end. Let me label this one as, say, A, B, C. Okay, so first of all, let me find the distance between point AB, or say that the length of AB and length of BC and length of AC. Okay, so let me write the formula. The distance, okay, let me move a little this side so that I'll have enough space. Some questions are really having a long calculations, long working part. So here the distance formula is x2 subtract x1 whole square plus y2 subtract y1 whole square under the square root. So without wasting much time, let me copy paste this one. Okay, so the same rule is we are going to use 3 times. Okay, let me draw 3 lines so that they will not overlap. Okay, well, so let me assume that point A, this is x1, y1, and B is here it is x2, y2. Okay, therefore x2 subtract x1, so you see that it is 8 subtract 8, so that gives me 0 square. Easy. Next, second part is y2 subtract y1. So I see that negative 7 subtract 3 square. So negative 7, negative 3 means I see that these two are having the same signs, that is negative sign to both. Don't forget, if two values are having the same sign, we add them. So 7 and 3 added, I get 10, and we keep the same sign to the answer. Remember, negative 10 whole square means it is negative 10 times negative 10. That gives me positive. Okay, so negative of negative, positive, then 10 times 10, that is 100. 0 plus 100, still it is 100 only. Square root of 100, it is 10 units. Great. So here I got 10. Next, let me take the length of BC. Already here x2, y2 are marked. Therefore, let me take this as x1 and y1. Okay. So x2 minus x1. Therefore, it is going to be 8 subtract negative 7. As I mentioned before, just you plug in these values. Then y2, negative 7 subtract negative 7. Negative 7 subtract negative 7. So just plug in the values and be careful while writing the signs. Because if you skip any one sign, what happens is you will end up with a wrong answer. So negative of negative, you know, that is positive. So 8 plus 7 square plus negative 7, my bad, here negative of negative, again I see that that is positive. Now in the first parenthesis 8 plus 7, that gives me 15 square. Second one is negative 7, positive 7. I see that different signs. Don't forget, different signs means different means the word itself is reminding you to take that difference. So 7 and 7 difference is 0. Okay. So 15 square, that gives me 225. square root of 0, let it be 0. 225, 0 is added, then it is 225 square root of 225, that is 15. An important thing for you to remember is when you are computing, suppose in case if you get any zero value, let it be x square, I mean x2 minus x1 whole square or y2 minus y1 whole square, then it should be either a vertical line or horizontal line. Okay, I see that here in these two parts I found zero. I got zero, right? So one of them is zero. If one of them is zero, what you do is then you can find their slopes. That I'll discuss later. Just assume that the diagram is not given, then how can we find that that is a right angle or not? That I'll discuss at the end. Okay, now coming to the last part, I mean the third side. This time I see that x1 y1 again x1 y1, which is practically not possible. So you can make any one of them as 2. So let me take this one as x2 y2, which is point C. So x2 subtract x1, I see that it is 8 square plus y2 negative 7 subtract 3. So negative 7 subtract 3 square. So again here I see that negative 7, negative 3, same signs. Same signs means add them. 7 and 3, that makes 10. Keep the same sign. So negative 10 square, and next again these two values are having the same sign. Therefore we add them. That gives me negative 10 square. So negative 10 square means negative 10 times negative 10. That gives me 100, positive 100, positive 100. Therefore it is square root of 200. So sometimes you may have to factorize. Actually 200 can be factorized, right? Therefore 200, I know it is you can take prime numbers, or else okay, let me take 2 times 100, then 2 times 50, then 2 times 25, 5 times 5, 5 times 1. So I see that 2 times 2 times 2 times 5, you can write in any order. So here I see that there is a pair. So square root of 25, 2 times 2 is 4, so just 2, and this is a single 2. Therefore let it be under the radical sign. So 5 times 2, that gives me 10. So this is going to be 10 root 2. Now I see that these three values are different. As you know that if all the three values are different, then it's going to be a scaling triangle. Sometimes if you get that say two sides are equal, then you can say that it is isosceles triangle. Suppose if you end up with all the three sides are equal, then you can state that it is an equilateral triangle. Okay, now as I mentioned before, here I see that the diagram, it's a right triangle. But if the diagram is not given, then how to say whether it is a right triangle or not means then, as I mentioned before, you take the length of line segments. I'll say that these two, that is AB and BC, right? While computing, you have seen that uh, we got some zeros, that is either x2 minus x1 whole square or y2 minus y1 whole square. Then you find their slopes. You know how to find the slope. That is the rise over run you can take, or the y2 subtract y1 over the x2 subtract x1 formula can be used. So when you find this slope, then what happens is, remember, if the slopes are equal, the lines are parallel, and if the product of slopes equals to -1, yes, then they are perpendicular. Okay, now let's take a quadrilateral and see whether it is a square, rectangle, rhombus kind of thing. Okay, I know that when we take a quadrilateral, the calculation part is maybe a little longer, like you have to find all the four lengths. From the diagram, I can see and I can say that it is neither a rectangle nor a square, because in rectangle and square the corners are at 90 degrees, right? So it could be either a rhombus in which all the four sides are equal, or it could be a parallelogram in which opposite sides are equal. So let me quickly write and compute all the four sides. So AB, let me use the distance formula D equals to, let me clear it off. So here I'm trying to find the length of AB, then the distance formula is D equals to x2 subtract x1 whole square plus y2 subtract y1 whole square under the square root. So let me compute. Before that, let me copy this. Okay, so I see that A is -7. Oops. Let me label this as x1, y1, x2, y2. Therefore, the x2, which is -4, subtract x1 is -7, so double negative sign. Y2 is 3, subtract -5 square. So already several times I mentioned, excuse me, -4. Now I'm doing really quick. Plus 3, negative of negative, that is positive. The result is -4, +7, that is 3 square. 3 plus 5, 8 square, equals to 9 plus 64. That gives me square root of 73. Let's find the length of BC. Then the formula is, it's the same. That is the distance formula. So let's take BC. This time I am taking this as x1, y1, because already B is marked as x2, y2. So x2 means, please plug in these values. So -4 subtract x1 is 5 square plus y2 is 3 subtract 6 square. That gives me same signs. So let me add them. 3 minus 6, I see that different signs, because if no sign you can assume as +3. So that is -3 square, -9 square, -9 times -9, +81, -3 square, that is -3 times -3, +9, that gives me square root of 90. Next I'm done with the AB, then BC, then this time CD. Already x1, y1 are marked, so let me take it as x2 y2. So it is CD. Let me use the formula. Okay, really quick. So CD is x2, which is 2 subtract x1 is 5, 2 minus 5 square, plus y2 is negative 2 subtract y1 6 square under the square root. 2 minus 5 negative 3 square, negative 2 negative 6 same signs, therefore negative 8 square, that gives me 9 plus 64, this is going to be square root of 73. Due to lack of space I am doing here, that is AD, because we are done with these three. Now we have to do this one, which is AD. Now let me make use of the distance formula and then plug in these values. So x2, I see that, oops, my bad. So here I see that x2 is 2 subtract x1 is negative 7 whole square, plus y2, which is negative 2 subtract y1 negative 5 square. So don't forget, whenever two signs occur side by side, multiply them. So negative of negative, negative 2, again negative of negative, positive. So 2 plus 7, 9 square, negative 2 and positive 5. Different signs, so we subtract. So take away the smallest from the largest, and the largest sign, the largest value sign is positive. So 9 square is 81, 3 square is 9. I see that it is 81 plus 9, that is 90. Now let's label the parts. I see that AD is square root of 90 and CD is a square root of 73 and BC is a square root of BC 73. Okay, did I make a mistake? AD is 90 and CD. Okay. Yeah, AB is a square root of 73 and BC is 90. My bad. So I see that opposite sides are equal. Opposite sides are equal. All the four sides are not equal. Therefore, this is going to be a parallelogram. This is going to be a parallelogram as opposite sides of the given quadrilateral are equal. Okay, that's it.